Okay, here we go. Should be sent.
Good evening. Hello, namaste, Sani Bunani to all of you who are listening in. Today, the 19th of August, we celebrate as World Humanitarian Day, where we honor the work of humanitarians who overcome huge challenges to save and improve the lives of millions of people. These real life heroes and heroines are doing extraordinary things in extraordinary times to help women, men, and children whose lives are upended by crisis. Today, in this forum, I am privileged and honored to be sharing the same dais with incredible humanitarian leaders who are doing their utmost to severe and secure our future generations. So, if Karina, if you are ready, could we please start with you?
Sure. Hello. Namaste to everyone. Nice to see you.
Let me give you an introduction. Thank you so much, Karina, for coming to the show. Karina Radchenko is a master's in law and international economic relations. She is the Payas founder and the 100 Words for Peace founder too. She is also the SDG ambassador of the Congress of the Council of Europe. Welcome you, Karina, to the show. Please give a brief introduction of yourself.
Thank you so much for this wonderful event. First of all, I am so thankful, grateful to spend this time today with you. As World Humanitarian Day is about helping others. It's about sharing our capacity as big members of one big family, humanity. So I'm so delighted to hear your wonderful stories. The work that you do as the humanitarian workers and to share the stage with wonderful people. I'm from Ukraine, and basically my organization, Partnership for Advancing Innovative Sustainability, focuses on discovering stories and showcasing the best practices in the field of reaching sustainable development goals. We organize events, interviews to discover this world world as only through sharing stories we learn from each other. We unite, and that is why we are more empowered and equipped with knowledge and skills to trailblaze best solutions and to fulfill, to realize our dreams about this happy and sustainable world into reality. And I'm hoping that throughout these conversations and further cooperation, we would keep in touch and empower and strengthen our activities on all the levels. Thank you once again for inviting.
Awesome.
I would just like to ask you a little bit of things so that we can go forward with the conversation. How did you get started in your humanitarian work? Was there any specific incidents, or since childhood you are influenced by certain people? How did you go about this journey of yours?
A wonderful question. I think we all start humanitarian work even without knowing that we are starting that, because we communicate with people, and we can really understand that our smallest contribution can change lives of others, and even our thoughts that then become the real world practices, some not abstract models, but action can also impact this world. I was impressed in my childhood when hearing the statement of a monk who said, if you want to make this world happier, if you want to empower others, just make little steps. For instance, take one banana with you and share throughout your day with other person, and you will find people who need your support, who need your care. And also, I'm from the country which is unfortunately affected by war. I'm from Ukraine, and when this conflict began, there were many internally displaced people, and what I'm trying to do is to focus on education, on unleashing this motivation to other people, of helping them to get access to education, to get in touch with other change makers. Because there is an African proverb, if you want to go fast, go alone. And if you want to go far, go together. And I do really believe that these three components, education, action, and partnership, networking, like here today, we exchange our motivation, exchange our stories, can really help to make this quantum leap on all the levels. So it's really great. And another project, 100 Words for Peace. All of us want to live in a happy and peaceful world. But we should understand that we are diverse people, diverse. Instead of differentiating, we should be valuing our cultural diversity, our values. So from diverse perspectives, people from different countries share their visions on peace, on how to reach it, why it is important.
That's so amazing, Karina. That thing you specifically said, that when we are interacting on a forum, we are interacting with our ideas, our beliefs, we are networking, and we are growing together. But as a woman, I would like to ask you a very specific question. Do you think that as a woman, you bring a particular perspective to your work? Because supposedly we are more caring. Supposedly, women understand and can find out the problems faster without any bias. But is there anything that you specifically feel that you as a woman bring to the work that you are doing?
Absolutely. I think every woman and every man, every person in this world has something to share. And to unleash this sharing, to get involved in some particular fields, we have to understand that we are all born equal, 50% of men and 50% of women. And that is how we can make this change. From my childhood, I wanted to get into diplomacy. Then I entered the university, and still I'm gradually moving towards my dream, which I now have the chance to represent my country on international platforms. From different sides, you always may hear that, for instance, it's a man job, it's rather for other fields. So it's very important to show on all the levels and in all the fields by your own personal example that that is the work for everyone. Moreover, speaking, I'm also the member of Women Political Leaders Forum in Reykjavik, the platform which involves women from different corners of the globe, leaders in business field, in political fields, humanitarian work, and others. And it's very important that it is already like statistically even proved by the example of particular companies that women sometimes can solve particular problems better. There are researches and studies that if women are involved in the peacekeeping processes equally to men, 50 and 50%, like balanced groups. These peace agreements are more likely to last longer. And now in COVID pandemics, we can see wonderful examples of women leaders, how they do with the COVID crisis. There are numerous examples. In many countries, gender equality is not perfect. Even if in the United States, for instance, there are some studies that it may take up to 200 years, if I'm not mistaken, to reach full gender equality. But some countries do better, some not. It's very important that the gender equality is not taken for granted, because now we can see the example of Afghanistan where the women's participation is very endangered, and I hope collectively in this world this problem will be resolved, so women as human beings would not suffer from this imperative, from these disbalances. It's very important, and everyone can show, just even speaking to other girls, motivating them on peer-to-peer level, it will be efficient. The lowest contribution, it still matters, I think.
That's so amazing and wonderfully true, particularly with the COVID crisis we have seen, and
Yeah.
currently all the crises that the world has faced. We South Africans have recently come out of something very bad, political unrest. This incident is happening in Haiti, the status of the Afghan woman. It seems that if we as women do not take charge, the world is on the brink of a disaster now. And I would like to also ask you one thing, because I'm sure there are young viewers who are going to be inspired by your program. If you would like to tell your younger self something, or if you'd like to say a youngster who is, because humanitarian is not an easy work, who is just stepping or thinking about taking up a journey in humanitarianism, what would your advice be to them?
It's a wonderful and very important question. Not very brief to answer, but I will try to make it as short as possible. But returning to the previous question, if I may add something also related to this one, is in terms of 100 Words for Peace initiative, we will also collect in the statements and stories of the Women Peace Prize winners, the Nobel Peace Prize winners, and all stories are just amazing. To share just several of these stories. The first one is about the start of the peace keeping movement in Northern Ireland. When this woman, she was alone, but she was totally shocked by children who died because of wars. And she was emotionally exploded with all these things. So she just started knocking in the doors of her community, and she managed to do incredible job by collecting the signatures to stop war. And that was how one of the largest peacekeeping movements was started. Just knocking on the doors and sharing what you are deeply feeling with this world can make significant change. Another example is the story of Malala Yousafzai, who was attacked, and she was the youngest Nobel Peace Prize winner. Just letting the world to know her story and empower other people. So it's very important to understand two things from this perspective. You are never too young or too old to make a change. The best time for change is now and where you are. And with all the resources you are provided, you are in the best, you have to take the responsibility to be the best solution, because the universe is so made that we all have these opportunities. But the question is whether we notice it and whether we realize our potential, our contribution. And all of the greatest movements started from this devotion and taking internal responsibility. And another aspect is never hesitate to share with the world, to knock at the doors on all the levels, whether it's your local government, whether it's your neighbors. Just try to mobilize your community to spread these positive seeds of energy. We are able to change the world. But there is one condition. All of us, every one of us, should take at least little steps, and then this cumulative effect will work and there will be magic in this world created.
This is absolutely a true thing, Karina. I am a World Pass ambassador. And just to give you an introduction, we are a group of women from every country in the world. And we try to create a global impact from the grassroots level to the policymakers. Irrespective of our profession, irrespective of our social and economic status. And I think all of our viewers can match with what Karina has rightfully said. I go back to something you said a few minutes back, that if we want to go long, we have to go together. And
Yes.
as the world stands today in the brink of disaster, lots of things are happening and we are almost there and coming back again. I think, along with the men, every single woman should also take charge for the community they belong to. If they take charge with the community and all of us hold hands, irrespective of he, she, there, or it, all of us, that's the only way that we can save the world from the potential disaster, which it seems as though since 2020 the whole world has gone over something, and it is still not ending as we speak today. And humanitarians like Karina and the next speaker and the next speakers we have in our panel today are the reason why the world is currently existing. But what is your contribution? What is my contribution to help them? They are selflessly working. It's our part to hold our community together and make sure that these humanitarians who are selflessly spending their time away from family, away from the things that they love, can feel that yes, their sacrifice is not going in vain. Thank you, Karina. It has been really a knowledgeable journey just talking to you. I will, for the next speaker, give a brief introduction of herself, and then we will share a YouTube thing, and then we will introduce the speaker with what she is currently doing in the crisis that is happening in Haiti. And believe me, it's a hair raising story.
Indeed, it is.
So, our next speaker, we welcome Dr. Mello Desiree. She is a policy director for the National Maternal Order of Police, United States. In 2001, after receiving an MFA in therapy arts, Mello realized that evidence based practices correlate with performing, visual, creative arts, and the decline of suicide. This would shape the core mission of the Kingdom Warriors Foundation, a non-profit for family solutions. After receiving her doctorate in NLP in 2009, Mello focused on youth behavioral health and became a suicide prevention specialist. In 2009, the sudden death of her 13-year-old son, Kingdom James Hernandez, from gun violence led to the creation of the Kingdom Warriors Foundation. 4 years later, in 2013, the Kingdom Warriors Foundation started with 11 homeless youths from Skid Row, Los Angeles. While battling homelessness, these students learned playwriting and performed their own skits as their wellness recovery action plan. In the arts, she is also the author of the upcoming book, The Invisible Face, highlighting economic race relations, current goals, and are to implement legislative charges, empower TAY, restore families impacted by DCFS, and restore human rights through youth intelligence. As a Haitian American, Mello comes from the king line of framers. Her great great grandfather, Baptiste Pont du Sable, was the first builder of Chicago in 1780. As a prominent fur trader, bad investments, and he was left destitute and died in St. Charles, Missouri in 1818. Mello Desire's ultimate goal is to establish a new constitution, and in Haiti, her school, Oknera Policy Training Institute, is working on a youth committee focusing on reparative justice to bring relief to Haitian youth and improve educational options.
Yeah. Wow.
How amazing it is, Dr. Melissa Mello Desire. I
Thank
hear of the phoenix, but I think this is the first time I am meeting a phoenix in person.
Wow.
Thank you for this wonderful opportunity of listening in on what you have to say. But before I call you to speak, I would like every one of you to see this little YouTube video that Dr. Desiri has to share.
Is it
It's not,
something on my end?
hold on. No, it's not on your end. It's on my end if I'm not wrong. Because we are on YouTube, that's why this is happening. Let me just share it. It will come over.
Okay.
No, I'm not. Yeah, share screen. I just hope it's the correct one. No, it is not.
I actually put in the chat as well the link. I don't know if that helps. But it is a report of our 60-year-old president, Stephen McBride, who on the ground floor, literally after the earthquake, is devastating reports that currently they want to just focus on repairing the government altogether. And so after Saturday, a lot has changed. So this is the last few days of their current report of an update of what's needed in Haiti. Thousands of families in need at this time. And organization, construction is needed. So these 16 students since 2018 has been trying to work on a new constitution, but it hadn't happened because, you know, since 1804, nobody was really listening. And so the
Yes.
history of Haiti is important for us to know what that means, especially for persons of African descent. And so I think this earthquake was sort of like a rude awakening, but there are plans of action that we want to execute. And so I hope to share that with you later on.
Okay. Sorry, Dr. Desiree, we have not been able to share the YouTube, but let me tell you of this Oshirera Policy Training Institute. It's in Petionville, and 16 Haitian youth students are working. This is amazing. On a new legislative change for Haiti. SDG number 16, Peace, Justice, and Strong Institutions. Currently, the earthquake recovery ran by Rabbi Stephenson Augusta, the email is given, to support the Haitian youth in their quest for human rights. This is really wonderful, Dr. Desiree. I can understand how your journey has been as a phoenix. As a mother, I can absolutely feel you. But still, we need to see where did the humanitarian rise from. Could you please give a brief introduction of yourself, Dr. Desiree?
Sure. So I was raised in Los Angeles, and most of my schooling was in the East Coast. So I spent a lot of time in New York and Boston, where there's a lot of Haitian immigrant populations. My mother, Odile Pascal, she's actually a Haitian ambassador. So I kind of grew up going back and forth to Haiti. Um, and learning culturally, especially the heritage of voodoo and how a lot of the culture of Haiti has derived from that. But most importantly, I never went to the nice parts of Haiti growing up. We went to the dirt villages where it was really dangerous, where a lot of gangs, low income was there. So while I was growing up, I saw a lot of things concerning disorganization. Like these kids, they have to worry about being kidnapped. Um, Gangs are like macheting people. These are daily lives for our kids. So we had a huge event in 2017. It was a Haitian Revolution Youth Party right at the airport, and hundreds of thousands of young people wanted to change the Constitution then. So 16 of them actually signed up and said, I have a project, particularly in education, I want to change. And one said, I want to do environmental. And another one said, I want to do music. Another one also said, I want to do technology. So since 2018, these kids got together in Petionville, where it's not too far from the White House. So they have firsthand knowledge of how the government is ran. But the history of Haiti is very interesting because in 1804, we became the first Black republic. And because of that, we had to pay France because France was mad that we were not working for free anymore. And we paid almost $160 billion over time. So when people are saying that Haiti is the
Oh,
poorest country in the Western Hemisphere, they fail to acknowledge the reason why. So we never really had someone that supported Haiti, including the United States. So even though I'm born and raised in this country, the history of how especially blacks, not only here but worldwide, has started, there's still something called reparations. And that's something that's actually a conversation that's happening now this year, according to how blacks are not given the right of way. And so as a woman, on top of that, it's like a double-edged sword. So I found all these obstacles I was facing, just trying to house the homeless, trying to administer mental health services. And so our main goal right now, homelessness is a worldwide crisis, but here in Los Angeles, it's like the homeless capital of the world. So between these crises, we need to have a strong government. So that's why we focus on SDG 16, peace, justice, and strong institutions. Unfortunately, the earthquake this Saturday, and this is why the video is so important. If you have time, you can go intelligencematters.academy, or you can email info@1percentage. That way, I can send you the link directly. But our youth right now, they need medical supplies, they need housing supplies. And so all of these Haiti relief, and I'm going to put them on blast. So I do apologize if I offend anyone that works at the Red Cross. But currently, since 2010, my mother, who actually was in the Haiti earthquake since 2010, has been stuck there ever since. And in the video, she actually is reporting from Port-au-Prince, trying to get to Jacmel. And she's watching all of these Red Cross, United Nations organizations, but yet in the forest there are thousands of people that need aid, and these are the people that very few of us and our students at Okrina have been pulling bodies out physically since Saturday. It's been so traumatic, but these kids right now, they just sent me a report yesterday. They want to move forward. They don't want any more anybody speaking for them on their behalf concerning the Haiti government if they have a plan of action already. So in the next 30 days, and that's why I was hoping maybe they can come and join the call next time, that they actually let you guys know the current plan of action that it can help. So intelligencematters.academy, as you see here, is our alliance. This is strictly from our Haitian youth that want to administer not only human rights as a law, but really they need people to sit down and listen so they can actually create a brand new government. And that's first and foremost. Um, After everyone has given blankets and food and stuff like that, there's still a broken government. And so there are some seminars that I'm going to be hosting in the next couple of weeks concerning how people can really help Haiti effectively. But they have to give the young people a platform in order to express this solution. So again, I'm eternally grateful even for this platform to be amongst great leadership and to partner. And Karina, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts, especially with gender equality. That is a major, major issue. And unlike you said before, if we don't come together with a solution and hold hands and really execute and stop with the dialogue, but actually execute. And that requires sometimes for us to sit down and listen to what the problem is. And that's the one thing the Haitian people, the message that the Haitian people want to give is that so many people has been speaking on our behalf, where you have these 16 kids that literally said, I would like to do this. And it's very clear. And there's so much millions of dollars right now going to Haiti relief, but it has to go to these children who really, at the end of the day, have to suffer through bad leadership, through a recent assassinated president. You know, this is something that still the country is reeling with. So the West Coast, you know, the fact that it was hit, a lot of people don't know that area is rich in petroleum. So right now you have a lot of vultures down there that are so-called helping the people, but until Okrina, this policy training institute from Petronville, it has a platform, then it really a lot of the relief is going in vain because these 16 kids are literally focusing on the whole entire country of Haiti, but they have to get the support of the United States, France, Canada, and everyone worldwide that had interest or past interest with Haiti. And Haiti is a very, very rich culture still. It has a lot of rich soil, a lot of rich natural resources. So make no mistake, it still is a very rich country. But the organization and the legislative part of it is bad. And so, in short, we can make a difference in the next 60 days by putting these seminars together. And we actually do have weekly Zoom meetings with our Haitian ministers. But unfortunately, because the phones, they're not even working, just little things like that. They do need immediate relief, which is why I urge people, if they can, donate to intelligencematters.academy, where we can get supplies to a major group of Petionville that's working to help with the earth, earthquake recovery. Right now, there's about 16,000 bodies dead officially, and it's still counting. So right now, by the end of this week, we'll have um, an exact count of how many casualties. And so I thank you guys for your prayers as well. A lot of our young people have lost family members directly, so there will be a lot of funeral arrangements in the next couple of weeks. But overall, after all this is done, there is hope, and we can recover not only for Haiti but for Afghanistan, for Japan as well. They're going through a lot of human rights issues worldwide. But I want us to focus on how we can give the young people, no matter what country you are, give them a platform so they can express their ideas, because they're the ones that have the means. They're the technology brilliance. But if their surroundings don't support that and they keep it muffled, then that's where you have high rate of suicide. That's where you have high rate of mental health issues, and that can be avoided. So let's work together with this. And again, thanks so much for your time, and thank you for listening.
Thank you, Dr. Desiree. I just have one question for you. Means,
Sure.
do you somewhere think that being a parent has
I don't know if it's connection.
initial
You're
stages,
breaking up a
because
bit.
as imposing, it has to do with the youth, it has to do with the future of the
Years.
country.
I'm terribly sorry. Can somebody hear? It's very broken. I can barely hear.
Something with the
Kids
connection.
understand the signal. Sorry,
Okay.
signal was yet to come. Yeah, sorry. Thank you. I've got it again. I just have one question. I was listening to you intently, and I found that being a parent has somehow pushed you into the humanitarian field, because when you are talking right now, you're talking about these kids, you are talking about the youths that were affected by the earthquake, who have lost family members. You are talking about how will you get Haiti to change its legislation using that 12 youth who are spread out in every single field. That means those youths are the future of Haiti.
Yeah.
So even though you are in a field where you are giving, is there something as a parent at the back of your mind that is pushing you forward daily, that is, even if you are staying in the states, you are still thinking your majority of your hurt is still in Haiti? Is there something that you could share with our viewers?
Oh, absolutely. Well, the main issue right now is violence, youth violence. Here in the United States, we have a high rate of violence in Chicago, in California, mainly because they have not received the resources needed. And this is something worldwide. Here we have more advances, but they're not reachable to the urban youth. So I'm raised in an area where we have limited resources. And as I applied for grants the correct way, a lot of our resources didn't come to South Los Angeles, which is where I live currently. And mainly because we have leadership and powers that be that do not recognize, and they do not give funding as to these areas so these kids can have a place to go. Instead, you have liquor stores. You have barely have supermarkets in these areas. So the main thing is to create a volume of where in the area, as you said, find out the empty lots that are sitting there for 15, 20 years that are not doing anything. Come together as a community, block for block, and say, let's build a youth center here. Let's build a community shelter. Let's build housing. We can do something called reverse eminent domain, where the people can tell the government, well, since I've been, lived here for 50 years, I want to use this property for a community center. If we as a community and every community is different. We got come together with that plan and make it happen. That will actually reduce the violence out there, because now you have kids that can actually learn how to build their own housing, learn construction. They can actually get off the streets. And this is 500,000 youth in the state of California. We have 40 million people. In LA County, you have about 10 million. And so my focus is the youth primarily, and they make up three-fourths of the population worldwide, whether we like it or not. And a lot of them are, still put out without the tools for them to survive as upstanding citizens. So that's why you have um, no structure, because these kids are not being brought to the table. They're being told by archaic leadership, this is how it's going to run, and this is not working in people's environment. So that's why you have a high rate of violence, high rate of homelessness, and misappropriation of funding. And I believe that we as a people need to take back our power through the youth, but we have to teach them that there has to be a new way. So, for example, like here in the United States, one of the amendments we're trying to work on is getting rid of the electoral college, because we want to increase the representation here in the United States. It's 435 representatives for the whole United States. And we have to increase that to maybe double that to about 970, so it can properly represent the growing number of people in the past century. So those are the things, like right now, getting back to government and really making that the priority is actually going to enhance every part of life. Then, of course, you have the basics like fresh water. Our youth right now have been working. Our students in Petroville, they had no water power, they had no electricity, and they're working on these things with these bare minimums. So it's very important that I reiterate that we just have to have a platform for the young people to let their ideas be heard. And that's really what our purpose is as a nonprofit. The Kingdom Warriors Foundation and Intelligence Matters Alliance is a partnership of people just like you coming together. We just started this alliance, a couple years ago. And these kids in Haiti, they actually want to share with you the plans of action that they're so excited to change, especially with education. That's first and foremost. Without it, we can't do anything. So that's our main purpose. I hope I answered your question. If I rambled on, can you hear me?
Is the image that is still blurred? I can hear you.
Okay. So I was
Okay. Yeah.
wrapping for us to come together after the Haiti relief this week is to really build housing here in Los Angeles. That's one of the main focuses here is housing and changing policy. So there are, if in the next couple of weeks, if you're interested, there's something called AB 3121, and I've actually put that in the chat.
Yeah.
What that is actually the reparations bill that we're trying to put in hands. So reparations leads back to Haiti. As we say, we were the first Black republic, and because there have not been a bill to really protect persons of African descent here, that has to be a main focus while empowering our young people to change laws. And so that's the greatest gift right now is education and knowledge. And I'm so um, grateful right now for us to be in this recovery process. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Okay.
What you are doing is just incredible. And regarding this petition, if possible, it would be possible to learn more about this, really great.
Absolutely. So the first step that we need to do is to form something called an Article 5. Article 5 in the Constitution, the United States Constitution, states that there are two ways that we can actually change laws. So if we in each state can say, for example, I would like to change the voting age from 18, which is the standard voting age United States, to 16, we can say we need about 4,000 signatures per state, and then maybe have 3/4 of the total population. They can go online, but you have to have wet signatures, actual petitions signed. And this is a great way for young people to learn how to manage, how to communicate and form groups. They can form and do surveys within their each group, and it has to be small. It has to start off individual in the community you're in. And once you start this Article 5, it states that once you agree to this as a whole, then you can change the Constitution tomorrow. That literally how easy we can amend. But why hasn't the Constitution changed in over 200 years? It's because there's a few group of people, and if people know the history of the United States, it started with rich landowners who were Caucasian male. That is what the forefathers of the United States were. And so, if we have a constitution that reflects that, but you have every race, culture, gender here now, is it really fair to say the US Constitution reflects all people of the United States? It isn't. So we want to currently in the next 6 months start an online petition. And this is something I would love to share with you, Bashuda, afterwards, how we can start with the sustainable goals and have this group start an Article 5 of their own. And that really is just having the young people that we are already involved in these groups. And there are many, many youth for human rights groups. They have to say, this is what we want to do. They have to have a starting point. So our main thing is to have a amendment of what would you like to change in the Constitution. We first have to uh, let the public know what an Article 5 is. So I'd like to have online forums of introducing their right, of what the Constitution is, and how we can actually change it, because we can't really change it if you don't really know what it is. And even though in my adulthood, my late 40s, I'm not going to give my exact age, but but I had to find and reread the Constitution later in life and realize, wait, there are certain things that I didn't know about. And if I didn't know about it, then our next generation will know about it. So as a parent, we have to be educated ourselves and can't be hypocritical and say to our youth, you have to do this. And yet we're not understanding our own institution. So not everybody's born to be a politician, and it's very important that we don't say, I don't want to be involved in politics. Because when you say that, you're saying, in essence, I don't want to learn how I'm living. Because politics, you pay taxes. If your mom and dad is living in a house and paying your bills, a lot of our kids that are growing up in this house, you have to pay taxes, school tax, house tax, security tax. All of this is going into these politicians that are supposed to give back to your community and make sure your streets are fixed, make sure your schools are taken care of, make sure your businesses are taken care of. But because a lot of these broken communities don't have the right leadership, such as maybe an assemblyman or senator or councilman, it could be various leadership, but the point is they all lead to one thing, and that's politics. And so when we realize the supreme law of the land is the Constitution and how we can immediately change it, and is given a right by our forefathers to do so, then we need to first start off with that. Once we have Article 5, that's enough. Then we'll have our kids create their own amendments. And then you'll see dialogue coming in. once these kids know, oh, I didn't know that, I can change the laws like that. I would like to see if maybe I can, change the drinking age to 14. I don't know. So, God forbid. But I'm just saying, if a young kid wants to say, I want to change this law, we just want to give them the knowledge to know that they can do that. And so that really is what our main focus is, the Article 5. And, that reflects with Haiti as well. What our Policy Training Institute is focusing on is the same thing, but at Article 5 for Haiti. So I'm excited for that. If anyone has any questions or concerns or anything concerning history, let me know. It's definitely the time now for us to have this dialogue on how we can really help.
I would definitely love to have this dialogue because history is
Man, but Spodak, I don't know if it's a connection again. I can barely hear.
Yeah, Mahmoud, it's such a big challenge nowadays in terms of this online era. From the one hand, it's great that we can communicate. From the other, oh, but then it works. Technology.
Yes, and I see Mr. Pia Nepal. How you doing, sir?
Yes, yes. Yes, Dr. Mello, I was listening to you. Actually, in my speech, I really want to interact with you. And after hearing, I was
it's
focusing on
giving.
your, so I was later by, I think her network is a problem.
Oh,
Yeah, so I'm
okay.
very glad to, yeah, I'm very glad to be, I'm listening to uh, Corina and your Dr. Melia. I was very much touched. And I was thinking while listening, how I can collaborate and help and support even Haiti because I'm engaged in the one of the world's humanitarian relief the organizations. So
Okay.
it might be I will double check whether they already been in Haiti because they are relief organization. Whatever happened is a catastrophe, natural
Yes.
catastrophe or earthquake or even relief, even the COVID-19 affected reliefs that we are engaging. For more
Mm-hmm.
than 7 years, I was in these humanitarian relief efforts. As
Okay.
you have heard that in Nepal back 2015, we had also one of the greatest earthquake that happened.
Mm.
And during that 2015, since that, we are very much active in involving in this humanitarian and relief works. So
This
from
cannot.
that point to even COVID-19 until today, and even for next month, because so far for more than 15,000 relief has been dispatched and delivered to the families who have been affected due to the COVID-19 and
Mm.
lockdown, and also the coming up next month or next week, there we are again more than 10,000 families will be benefited on these relief efforts. So while
Oh,
listening to Dr. Desiree, I was thinking of how I can connect and collaborate and support your efforts and how I can connect at one of the greatest humanitarian relief organizations, and
yes.
they might help. I'll check from my organization whether they have already reached Haiti or not. If I have not, then I will recommend your
Yes.
organization, your team that you have referred for the youths, 16 or 17 youth that you are referring.
We have
Then I will connect to
16.
that
Yeah, we have 16
16.
youth,
Yes.
and we have doctors that's on hand right now, especially
Mhm.
with 4 hospitals. So we definitely service maybe over 6,000, 7,000 people in a square mile radius. It's insane.
Oh,
So anyone who is in Haiti, that's why we want to get a documentation of who really is there as well, so we can really make efforts to these remote areas.
yes, please. So the organization that I'm working was is they are really distributing and giving away the all health equipments, even for
Yes, we
to
need that.
Nepal.
Mhm.
We they deliver almost all the hospitals and health posts throughout Nepal. It is we have around 32 million populations, and they did a marvelous, great job. And
Finally, I can.
this organization is worldwide supporting for health equipments and health reliefs. At the same time, the rations that is the needed for the families for who cannot afford. So
Yes.
I think I will strongly recommend. I'll check out from my organization how they have been already rich or not. If they have not
Okay.
reached or they already been rich, I will be connected to your organization, your youth group, so that
Yeah.
that can we can collaborate. So one of the main topic of our actually today is World Humanitarian Day, and
Mhm.
today itself,
Appropriate.
myself we engage in distributing the rations, health equipments to more than 500 families today itself. For
That'd
me,
be wonderful.
humanitarian is not just talk of the topic; it's about the actions that put into the actions that we give away to the people who are in really need and without any bias and not going through any politicians or those who are the as you just mentioned that there are a lot of people who has been not really working for the humanitarian, and
Yes.
we should give away those things to those who need and should not be
Yes.
go in the wrong hand. So in that case, the organization that I'm involved is that they will directly purchase whatever amount of the reliefs that needed, and will be worked through the maybe a medical association of Haiti and
Oh,
whatever the connection that we have, and they will directly purchase all the goods or they will transfer directly to your organization. Then from that point, you have to make a distribution plan and schedule, and they will work on
oh
that.
yes.
So I'm working for more than
Thank you.
7 years. With that, my experience, then I will like to collaborate and recommend and also work together with wherever necessary, not only Haiti, but also any parts of the world. Now we have to focus on the currently on the Afghanistan. Once
Yeah.
the political situation is getting a little bit normal, whatever the
Yeah.
situation that we can support, that we can do it. So main platform of having this our discussion is to actually connect each other and help each other. So I'm the president of International Youth Society, which we are having 149 countries, global
Wow.
network,
Yes. I've
and
heard
with
of you guys.
I think around 19,000 youths are active in our
Mhm.
circle. So wherever necessary, that we can use this our network, helping each other, and in this way that we are connecting world, and the world is so small, and due to this technology, though we have some connection problem today, of course we still we can reach out to you. So to USA, good morning to you, and Corina is from she said
Yeah.
from Ukraine. So hi, Ukraine. So I'm from Kathmandu, Nepal, top
Yeah.
of the world. So it's greetings and
Yes.
namaste from me. I'm
Yeah,
because
I would
going
like to
back.
introduce you before you go forward.
Yes,
I'd
please.
like to introduce you. Yeah, I have some signal problems, but I have to give you an introduction so that all the speakers know uh, how what is means how honored we are to be listening to you today. So let me just give you a brief introduction. 2 minutes of your time. Dr. Priyaratna Mahajan is a social community development and humanitarian worker based in Kathmandu, Nepal. He has an extensive experience on youth development and international affairs. He is well recognized at both local and global at a glance, with having high level connection back in his home country. He focuses on bringing the voice of young people on advocacies such as peace building, social, community, and youth development in various international forums, conferences, and world bodies such as the World Economic Forum, World Humanitarian Forum, United Nations Office for Disaster Risk Reduction, United Nations Women, Men Engage, UNWPA Nepal, Parliament of World Religions, United Religious Initiatives, Global Youth Summit, Africa United Nations Summit, among others. What an amazing opportunity. Oh, he also founded the Meta Center Orphanage School and serving there for 20 years for the total development of the orphan children. He is currently serving as the International President, International Youth Society and Track Nepal and International Youth Alliance with more than 121 countries global network focusing on humanitarian relief, social service works at a global level. Also works on SDGs, the United 2030 of United Nations, localization of social, economic, climate change, and environmental campaigns. So, Dr. Priyaratna Mahajan, it is an incredible honor to be able to listen to you today. Over to you.
Thank you very much for again inviting me because we discussed informally. Because since your voice is not audible, and we use our time to make use of the introduction each other and also to begin dialogue among ourselves. So that was very good opportunity. And I have explained that introduced myself and briefly. And as far as my experience, that I'm very much interested working on the relief works, social and community developments, and also the youth developments. That as is our two speakers at the beginning just mentioned about the so in that focusing on that. So what we can do is the changes through collaborations. So we have to collaborate each other and help each other that whatever resources we have, contacts we have to share it. This is the major that the network that we are connecting each other and having this global platform and those listener audiences that what they were necessary that what we can impart is the knowledge at a youth is a present and for the future. So as we are the leader and we have to produce a good leaderships, and this is the measure our topic should be, and that should give the equal opportunity, as Dr. Mello said, that impartial distribution of the resources that has been the cause of the young people being coming out of the society and also doing violence. They can create violence anytime when they can see there's unfairness there. So what we have to do is that we have to train young people and bring out the leadership's quality. So in that way, myself with all many other organizations, including UN and INGO and NGOs from around the world, that we are working together, and we want more collaborations because we need more the hands together so that we can help each other. Like for example, now talking about Haiti, in even future, anything can happen. So we should be ready to collaborate and also make these connections. And that then when there's things happening like catastrophe of calamity of the natural resources and disaster happens, that as a friendly we can help each other sharing the resources. And also the once we are ready for the young people, and that young people will be ready and they can help each other and whenever things are happening with our global network, we can inform that young people can become active locally. And because when there's something will happen in now South Africa, we have you have heard about that. International Youth Society has the good network in South Africa. So we collaborate with our country director and whatever they can contribute, the pacifying the people and giving the hands and because they are in violence, because they are very much frustrated. So what we have to give them is the quality knowledge, the right path that we have to direct. So once we produce good leaderships around the world, all that they can handle any future problems and issues, they can bring out the solutions. So they are more innovative as the science getting so much developed and in our technology, and we are living in 21st century. So we should train youth with collaboration of all our good leaders, so we can help each other, and we can bring though during this pandemic, of course, most of the young people, even children, we are in Nepal also and any other country, schools have been closed, colleges has been closed, university has been closed. So everything is teaching on online, virtual. So therefore, at this moment, using this technology, and we should have this kind of global conference events and workshops, and not only we discuss among our leaders. We have to invite the young people, connecting all the continents. So sometimes we do this kind of events, forum, dialogues for the young people from around the world, Asia, Africa, South Africa, North America, America, Canada as well. So we want also the now the Haiti and those who are like Palestinian, and we are reaching wherever is possible, so connecting in each other. So we like to extend and to collaborate more, and hope that these humanitarian efforts, social works, community developments, that we have to guide the young people into those kind of social and humanitarian efforts, so they can release their right the efforts. They can put their right energy, so that once we can guide the young people in right track and right path, they won't go wrong. So that's why most important is the guidance. So as we are the leader around the world, and the experience such as Dr. Mela and Karina and other speakers and experts, and we can work together. And thank you very much for giving me this platform, that so we can connect each other, and we can work together and from tomorrow, because we have our social networks that we can connect each other. And my social I mean the connections, I mean Facebook ID, WhatsApp, and all that connections is with I can put in the chat box, so that we can connect each other, and let's discuss, and we'll continue. It's not the only dialogue today, or not just only today we discuss. We can build our relationship for a long time, and with this network, and we can help each other. Thank you very much again.
Thank you. That's awesome.
Thank you so much.
Please put your
Yeah.
information in the chat.
I think we need, yes. We need all the information. Please share in the chat.
Well, this is a wonderful day of connection. This is one of our first humanitarian celebrations, and I couldn't be more grateful to really be amongst you guys and learn about each one of you. Miss Modak, I definitely I think you was going in and out earlier, so I don't know if you missed saying anything, but I wanted to
No,
know a
I
little bit more
didn't
about
miss
you as
at
well.
all. Dr. Desiree, I am definitely going to connect with you because even though, like you can see, I am an Indian, but I have spent the majority of my life now working here in South Africa. And I think there is a huge amount of learning, especially with the way you are dealing with the youth.
Yeah.
And like if I give my background, I am an engineer who is trying to bring technology into the disadvantaged communities in South Africa. And my main goal is to keep them so diverted that they become ambitious enough